Without further ado, I'll introduce our first speaker for tonight, known for his long career in the Ottawa classical music scene, and now Artistic and Executive Director of the Music and Beyond Festival, Julian Armour.
Okay, so my background is I grew up in Kitchener-Waterloo. When I was 17, I moved to Ottawa for the very first time. It was a very different place than it is now. I went to McGill. I have a Bachelor of Music from McGill University. And great times going there, and it really gave me a sense of what Ottawa was at the time, where I remember at that time there were no restaurants, there wasn't a whole lot happening, there were none of the blues festivals, jazz festivals, very small. My first job was playing with the National Arts Centre Orchestra, and I did that for a while. I had a really great conducting assistantship offered to me in Toronto with the symphony and with the university, but I decided I wanted to buy a cello instead of working. So there's my cello. It was built in 1770, the same year Beethoven was born. It took me about 15 years to pay for it. Mozart was 14 when it was built. It's in almost perfect condition from beginning to end. And was one of the reasons I always wanted to be a performer, not one more bad symphony orchestra conductor. So I really have enjoyed that. Ottawa at that time, the summers were gorgeous, but not a whole lot was happening. And over the time that I was there was no classical music happening at all. The prevailing wisdom was that classical music wouldn't sell. There wasn't a whole lot happening. Blues Festival hadn't started. And my thinking was, let's start a chamber music festival. Everybody thought I was crazy, that it would totally fail, be a disaster. In fact, the whole thing sold out in the first year, which was 1994, and we packed it, and it grew and grew and grew, and within just a few years, it became the largest chamber music festival in the world, and got a lot of international attention, won lots and lots of awards. At its peak, it attracted a total audience of 60,000. My other occupation is I have a group called the Chamber Players of Canada. This is our CD. It's gone all around the world. It's won rave reviews. It was named CD of the Month by BBC Music Magazine. New York's classical station called it CD of the Week. It's just the CD of the Year by the Quebec Classical Music. And it's one of the things that the arts can do is really promote Ottawa around the world, and people forget that. Our next CD is coming out on NAXOS, and we're able to actually put out Canadian performers and Canadian composers on a label that will literally be in every city, large and small, around the world, and in every bin. And the promotion it is to promote Canada and Ottawa as a cultural center instead of a place with mountains, snowdrifts, mounties is incredible. This is the Musikverein in Vienna. I've actually played there a few times. It's one of the really great concert halls of the world. When you play in there, it sounds amazing, and you don't want to leave. You want to come back. When you walk out, you want to buy tickets immediately. Ottawa is the only major city in the whole world that does not have a purpose-built concert hall for music. Incredible to believe. The National Arts Centre is wonderful, but it's a large multi-purpose hall, and even the National Arts Centre, they record in different places. We started a concert hall project. We got $28 million raised for it. But it fell apart largely because the city of Ottawa sold the perfect piece of land for $6.2 million, and the very next day gave us $6.2 million. If they'd just given us the land, Ottawa would have a concert hall. Now, let me gripe a little bit. CBC Radio 2, you all know it well. It used to play tons and tons of classical music. Now they play almost nothing. And you may have heard last week that Julie Nesralah's show coming from Ottawa is now moving to Toronto. And there used to be incredible classical careers formed here. Now virtually every classical musician moves elsewhere. What Britain did is they started Radio 3 so that classical music has its own station, but all the other great music. And I've played with Blue Rodeo on CBC and loved it. I've played all kinds of styles, but to mix them up comes up with a radio station that nobody wants to listen to. Every other major country in the world has solved this, but Canada just doesn't seem to get that. This is my family. It's my wife, my two boys. And so I'm very aware of what they're getting in the schools. And kids don't get a lot of exposure to the arts in the schools. They get, and schools don't realize, particularly with music, that kids do better in almost everything. They're better in math, better in writing. They're more creative when they're exposed to music and the arts in general, and it's an important thing. So my response was starting the Festival of Music and Beyond. We started in 2010. Our headliner that year was one of the great sopranos of all time, Kathleen Battle, and I can't believe she agreed to do it. It was one of her only 2 concerts that whole summer that she agreed to do. She's absolutely amazing, and she launched a festival where we combine other art forms and cultural disciplines with music. In 2011, we had one of the great thrills of my life, which was working with 3 months to produce a show called Shakespeare in Music with Christopher Plummer. Now, next Tuesday I got on a plane and I get to go to Banff, and I do it again with Chris, and we're going to come back and do it in Ottawa. We're going to record it. It's going to be picked up by television. But that's another thing. Mixing music and other art forms and to work with someone is so incredible. We also work with visual artists. The violinist on the far left is by an extraordinary Ottawa artist, and we really try to support Ottawa creative people, Ottawa artists. This is by Philip Craig, and we did a number of things with visual artists. We did a whole series where they paint paintings based on music, and we play the piece while people look at the painting. We also did music and dance. This was Alexandra Pera. She's a principal dancer with the Calgary Ballet. She doesn't dance here because Ottawa doesn't have a ballet company. So she comes back, and I was delighted she would come back. This is her famous choreography, The Dying Swan, done with cello and piano. And it was part of a whole event at the Museum of Nature where we had a big party called Music and Nature. This is film. This is the first major film, first film ever with a score composed by a major composer. 1908, L'Assassinat de Duc de Guise. And it's a silent film where the score was composed by Camille Saint-Saëns. We actually played and synchronized the music with the film. Incredible. We started also this year with Music and Circus with some of the best circus performers in Canada. But I want to just rant a little bit, if I may. The one thing I was asked, what is the eighth deadly sin? And for me, the eighth deadly sin are people who lack expertise in a discipline yet have incredible power over that. And the arts really suffer from that. The arts could be, and that's where they belong. The arts could really do so much better if the people controlling arts policy, there are some wonderful people, but there are also some people that slow things down. It's really, really difficult to run an arts group or to be an artist in Ottawa. And you see we have a massive exodus, and we could go on, I could go on for another 500 slides. This is the Earth, and just to show you what the arts can do, Music and Beyond, we're the first Canadian festival to sign an exclusive television deal. We recorded 5 concerts for TV. They're going around to 140 countries around the world, and we'll promote Ottawa and Ottawa artists and composers and creative people to 140 countries around the world, and probably a total audience of hundreds of millions. So the arts do something that nothing else can. So anyway, thanks very much. Yeah.